maximize it. So now here is our hello world project. Now what I will do is that I just created this hello world project, is like this hello world application, just to show you guys around the Eclipse, how you have to use it in creating your Android application. So this is our Eclipse workspace. So now um it's still loaded our data, our API level, API 19. You can see here is loading data for Android 4.4, that is the TK version. So that's why you still have some errors features here. So now it's true. You can see our hello world project here. When you open this, you see these are our files that is located this is what makes up our hello world application. So now I would like to show you something. This this SRC is stands for short form for our source. So this is our source folder. Inside this our source folder is contained the main class for Java, the main class for for our project. You can see the project which you created here, com.apploader.hello world application. So under this you find our main activity Java class. This actually was mixed up. So what happens about one thing about our project, one thing about Android application is that this SRC that stands for source, and this RES that which stands for resources, these two folders including the Android manifest.xml file is what makes up our Android applications. So the files which is located inside this RES, that is resources folder, and the files which is located inside this source folder is most significant files that makes up our Android application. So I'm creating Android manifest.xml. So when I let me start from the down to up. So this Android manifest.xml file, I will double click on it to open it, so I can be able to show you exactly what I mean about significant files that makes up our Android applications. So Android manifest.xml file is like the metadata of our application. It contains the most valuable information about the applications. Understand? So under it you find the application permissions. That is the application that is assigned to work with the application. The permission which you are assigned to work with the application, the instrumentation, and this is the source code for the Android manifest.xml file. So when you get to the manifest.xml file, here you find like most information about the application version. You see our version code, our version name is 1.0. So we scroll down here, it doesn't got that much. So we go to the application. Inside this application, you got to see about the theme we are using for application, the label we are using for the application, our launch icon, logo, description, permissions we assigned to applications. So this is like the application is like the things or the functions which you are assigned to work with the application. So we're going to get to the theme. You see this theme is called from the style. I will show you this letter, and this string is called from our strings folder. The icon is called from our drawable folder. Like description, if you assign a description to it, you can decide to call description from a string or a style. We call it from a string, whatever how we needed to call it. So now you can, it's like when you come down you see a lot of things about. So here is our project. This is more information about the application that's working with the project. So come to the permissions. We have not yet assigned any permissions here yet, but as we work in our tutorial, I'll be able to tell you what this permission is all about, what this permission can do to our application. So inside this Android.xml, Android manifest.xml file, this is where you get the source code for all these without the manifest application permission instrumentation. This is the source code, the XML source code. So here you see the package name, which is the package, and that's the name of our package. com.android app downloader.hello world is the name of our package. and this is our version code which you saw in the manifest tab. Then our version name SDK. This is the minimum SDK which we selected, or it was actually the default when we were creating our project, and we are targeting the latest, which is KitKat IP 1119. The application through drawable from drawable. So let me show you this now. This application icon which is called from the drawable folder. This drawable folder is our drawable folder under our resources. As I told you, this is our resources files, including the Android manifest.xml and our SRC, that the source folder, is what makes up our application Android applications. So now, inside our drawable folder, you see our IC launcher.png. That is our launcher icon, and you notice that this launcher icon is assigned to all of these drawable folders here. You can see them. Why is it so? It's so because it's assigned to all these drawable folders here for various mobile device screen sizes. You understand? Most Android mobile device doesn't come with the same screen sizes, so is assigned. Once the application is installed on any mobile device, Android mobile device, it will just detect it from the drawable folder which particular screen size is this application should work on. So your launcher icon can be able to adapt itself to any of the Android mobile device screen size that is the application is running on. So it's being called from the drawable folder, as I said. Then the label, the string name for application name, you can find that under the string which is in the values. Values, you see the string.xml file. When you open the string.xml file, then you see the string assigned for the name. You see the string here, the app name for the string. Let's go to the source code view. String name, you can see our application name, this app name being called from the string. So I think you'll be able to understand what I mean by the significant files. So now let me go up. We are finished with the Android manifest.xml file. These are the signified files, as I said. Android manifest.xml file, the resources for the RES, and the SRC, the source folder. This was comprised to make our Android application. So now coming to the resources folder, as I said about the drawable folder, this is where most of we define the screen sizes for mobile different Android mobile devices as running mobile devices that running on the Android operating system. Inside this layout, this is where we get the activity main.xml file, which is this file here, this layout you are seeing here. This is the activity activity main.xml file. This is it here. You are just viewing from the graphical layout, and when you go to activity main.xml file layout, you see the source code that makes up the activity main.xml file. All of them is being called XML file, but you can be able to view them in the graphical layout and also view them in the activity main.xml file layout. Sorry. So I think I'm through with about the resources folder. These files which are located inside this resources folder, that is the significant files, are one of the things that makes up our Android application. So now coming to the SRC, the source folder. This is where we get our package. This is our package, the Hello World package. And under our Hello World package, you will find the main activity.java. This is our class. So this main activity.java file is what contains the classes. Let me just try to open it there. I will explain more what I mean, what this file is doing for our brand application. So here is our main activity.java file. You can see this main activity is a very significant file while working with the Android applications. So you can see here, this is onCreate. This is the function that is being called eventually when our applications is created, or one application is not actually when application is created. What I mean by onCreate is when our application is is started on the mobile device. It's like it will now generate or create the application to start working. So now every coding you are doing in your application, or because most of our application is most of the why all the developing you are doing on your other application comes those with Java language. You can see we're under the Java language perspective, and so most of the codings here most of these codings here are being done on Java with Java language. So everything you are doing here, every coding you are doing on your application must be implied or implemented inside this main activity.java class. This is a class. So now, what you can see that this on create this main activity.java calls from our resources, and from our layout calls our activity main.sml file. You can see from it calls it eventually on start of the application. It calls from our resources folder, R for our resources folder, then layout, which is this, then our activity main.sml file here. So in this main activity.sml file, as I said, let me go to the graphical layouts. This is exactly what it will look like on the mobile device when you make use of the application. Every coding, every design you do on this layout, it will just call it on the start, on momentary this application is the user clicks on the application to start using the application. So everything you have to design your layout, then you use a what I call UI logic to implement those codings or the design which you made on this. Then use a UI logic to implement it for the application to be able to work normally on the mobile device. So now, as I said, in our main activity.java, on create, that's on momentary the application is started, it calls from the resources layout activity main.sml file, because this activity main.sml file, as we go deeper into this tutorial, we make some examples, we create some application that I'll be able to show you exactly what I mean the main activity.java calling the activity main.sml file. So now we are through with the secondary files that mess up our Android application. So now you go into the icon, you can see here is creating new files, new Java project, new Android application project, package, class, interface, all those others. I hope we still come to that Android XML files. We still come to that later. So this icon here stands for creating new projects. So this is our SDK manager, Android SDK manager, which is among the 3 files located in the ADT Bordeaux folder after we extracted them. And this is a very important option in our ADT file, as in Eclipse application. So what this application does is a AVD, which stands for Android Visual Device. This Android Visual Device is like a visual device on its own, like the way you use your mobile device that run on Android operating system. This visual device creates on its own platform what we call emulator. So this emulator that runs on the visual device is able to interface itself and able to accept any application which you are working on that you install on it. Like the way you download the application from the Google Play Store, or download from other websites, or your friend who is a developer sends you an application and you install them on your mobile device. So what this AVD does is that you are working on your application like we are working on our Hello World application, then we can be able to export it and install it on our visual device a visual device. When you install it on then you can be able to test it normally as how the application is being run on our mobile devices. So now we still hopefully we still come back to the and I'm able to explain better so you can be able to understand it. we go to this creating new Android XML file. You can also find it here. Here is it. Then here is running the application. As I said, working with the visual device. Run the application on the visual device to see how your application looks, or on how application looks reality, because the way it looks on the emulator, that is the visual device, is the way it eventually looks on the mobile device. So it's creating new package, new class. It's creating new package, new class. Others is no more that important. So now when it comes to file, yeah, file can also create a new, like the way this icon here stands for a new project. You can also create a new one, open a file, existing file, save as, close, or move as, or this. Then here is an option for you to import an existing project. In case you have been working on or you worked on a project before, and you want to import it into this project you're working on now, you can simply go to this import option. Use this import option. Select, if you're working on, you worked on an existing project before, you click existing project, importing it into your workspace. You click next, import it from wherever. This for option of if the is in a folder, if the project is in a folder, but normally the projects come in an archive form, archive file sort of, comes like zip or RAR. So you have to, if you clear, you browse for the project, you put into your workspace. So here also, here for the export, you can export this application as a project. I can say, let me export this my Hello World application as a project. Then I can, when I'm working on that application, or when I'm working on that workspace, I can also import it as a project. So if I want to export this Hello World application we're working on, I'll just go export it as a project. And while I try to export it as a project, I'll say export it in archive file. I'll proceed next. See our project, which is Hello World, all the files that makes up our Android application. We're exporting them along with it. So just come back to that later. So now this is about my source. This is formatting your code while working with code on your Android application. You format it to get a better view. Organizing ports deals with organizing important files from the SDK tools. Another things, project, clean your projects, refactor, renaming and moving your application, running as Windows. Alright, so now let me come back to this Windows. As you see here, this is our default workspace, and it has many perspectives. This perspective is for our projects. This perspective is for our application. This perspective is our application. Everything has to do with the application, both coding and the graphical representation. This perspective is for outline, and this perspective here is for troubleshooting, knowing what most details about our application, whether it has a problem or what's going on with our application. So now I've stated most of the perspectives here on our workspace. You can now you can double click and drag this folder. You can say, I don't want this perspective to be here, I don't want this problem tab to be here, I want it to be here. Or I don't want this properties perspective here to be here. I don't want this outline, I want it to be here. I want it to be to left, I want it to be the middle, I want it to be there at the bottom. So you can say, you can double click on it, drag it to wherever you want it to be. So now I'm taking this outline perspective to the bottom. You can see our outline is no more there. Outline is now at the bottom with also the properties. And you can say, okay, this one, I want this one to go to the right. I want this activity main.html file to go to the right. You can double click on it, and here you can see it have shifted our workspace, and actually our activity.xml files have moved to the left. You will notice that this activity.xml file took along with it the activity, everything that makes up the activity.xml file. And so this thing is our layout that makes up our activity.xml file. This is what is being called on when the application is being launched. So now I'm just trying to show you what you can do, or how you can be able to customize your workspace to suit your test. You can say, let me shift. I want this project to be here. See, okay. Let me just check it. Yeah. So you can say I've been able to change my project where it was before. I took it to the right, and my main activity.xml file came to the left. So now I'm just trying to show you how you can be able to customize your workspace. But in future, while doing this, you are customizing to your test and you make some mistakes. You don't really know how. I will have to, even if you close it and restart it, or you restart it, you close it, you begin the Eclipse workspace again, it will still be like this. So but for you to be able to solve this problem, you can go to Windows. I'm taking you around the Eclipse, so I want to show you what each of the icons is able to do for you while working creating Android application. So now we messed up our workspace. I'll go to return to normal. Go to Windows. It's a reset perspective. It will reset it to ask you to reset to your perspective to the default. You say yes. It will reset to the default. Actually, it reset everything to default, but you know this perspective is like 1. So it's trying to reset it to the default, but under this 1 perspective, it cannot reset it because they are under one same perspective view. You can see this border here is 1 perspective. This border here, they are all 1 perspective. So now for us to correct this one, you can decide to close this particular one with the class, then you can also reopen it. So that's everything is done. Okay, so now we are through with our that of the perspective. Okay, now you can see we are working on the Java perspective. We are creating our Java application because most of our Android deals with Java languages. And let me say, you are missing one important tab and you really need it. So the console, we'll be using the console while we are while working with our DDM. That is our emulator. And you can see we have the console tab in our workspace. The console tab should be under with the same perspective with the problems and JavaDoc, or you should be the same perspective with these ones here. So and it's not it's not listed, the tab is not there. So in case if you want to add this tab, you want to add any perspective that is not by default is not there, you go to the Windows show view, then let me say I want to add console perspective, so I'll click on console. See, console will automatically be added to the perspective for the problem tabs. So now I think I'm through walking around the workspace and able to tell you what each icon is able to do. Okay, now let's go back to let's just try to create our Hello World application. Then alongside, then I will try to elaborate more on the visual device, as I said earlier, that is the emulator. So we go to, because most of these we shouldn't be needing again.